see you all here today. Thank you for coming, even though it's required. I was asked to introduce Jason, and the bad thing is I don't even know what his current job title is. I just know him as the other half of like my husband's and my couple friend, like our couple best friends, you know? Like his wife is my best friend and he's my husband's best friend. We're a little adorable that way. But Jason...
We were gonna wear matching
We
sweaters.
were, but it didn't work out. The first time I met Jason was the summer before my freshman year here at Spring Arbor. He doesn't even remember this. And he was going into his junior year, and we were doing this Bible study over the summer. And I just remember thinking, wow, if all SAU students are like this, I can't wait for college to start, because he just seemed like he had everything together.
I just got out of rehab. So.
And as the years went, I became really good friends with his best friend, but he still has no memory of me whatsoever during college. But after we graduated, he moved away. He graduated with a degree in communication. And one of the things that I think is so cool about that is that he went on to be in the ministry. And so I really, one of the things that makes me think of is the fact that don't put a cap on what God is going to do with you, with your career, and with your degree. He graduated in communication, and I remember thinking, when I heard he got this pastorate, I remember thinking, wasn't he a comm major? How did he get a pastorate as a comm major?
Way to go, Spring Arbor.
Woohoo! But after he was gone for a few years, he and his wife and daughter Grace moved back to Spring Arbor, and that's really when we started connecting. And I've seen Jason go through a few different jobs at the church across the street, in the marketing and communications building here at Spring Arbor, as the director of communication for the Free Methodist Church North America, and now in this new position that he has now that I'm excited for you guys to all hear about. And in every single one of those positions, I've seen God use Jason professionally, but also personally, to make huge strides for his kingdom. And so I am so excited that my buddy Jason is coming here today to talk to you guys, and I just hope you learn lots and listen really well. And Jason, do you mind opening us up in prayer?
Yeah. I said to Liz, I'm like, I kind of practiced this talk 4 times and it came out 4 different ways. So I kind of like that because it gives us kind of space to breathe, and then we kind of see what we have in our time together, right? So we'll offer our time. So Jesus, we first of all, thanks for the gift of breath today. So we know from your word that it says that every day is a gift. Yeah, I don't know if I take that for granted every day, but it also says that you kind of breathe life into us. So you did that today. So thanks. And then for the time that we get to breathe in our day today, encounters will have, conversations. Even in this space, would you do what you need to do most? And for these guys in these moments, would you help them to remember the things that you want to remember, forget the things that you want them to forget, and continue to draw these guys deeper into your heart. So we just commit that time. And would you help me not to suck? Amen. Okay. So I'm a storyteller. I'm not a bullet point, PowerPoint, spreadsheet guy. So I've got a few stories. Some of them, hopefully, I'll get the right ones for you. But I wanted just to I wanted to try to identify with you guys a little. Maybe I'll alienate myself. But this is the radio station in 1994, and that's when I had a lot more hair. And that's my buddy Mike King, who was sporting the soccer mullet thing with the business on top and party in the back. The acid wash, peg jeans, that kind of thing. I have my Bill Cosby sweater on. That's right. So But so this is where I grew up. Went as far as going to college. I'm from Rochester, New York, upstate New York, and I was the only person of my friends that didn't go to Roberts Wesleyan. I came out here knowing nobody, and so this is where I spent a lot of my time as a student at the radio station, and then with Dory. Working, I think that was Dory's first year. She was still working for the Lansing TV station and working part-time, and we thought it was so awesome that we had like a celebrity that was our teacher and those kinds of things. And so we were just learning on video, so we were doing video and radio, and had a fantastic time. As a matter of fact, our last radio broadcast. It was the year of it was like the day of graduation. We were all graduating, and a bunch of us that were seniors. You'll see a couple more pictures of the guys that we graduated together. We hijacked the radio station and played whatever music we wanted to play, said whatever we wanted to say, and we recorded it. And we thought we were just so cool. And we waited, I think, 15 years. We got back together, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, I've got the cassette tape of the thing. Let's listen to it." We listened to it for about 10 minutes, and I went, "Please turn this off. This is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life." We thought we were so cool. But I would say, and hopefully I'll land here, but if I don't, I want to say it again, that the great surprise for me was when I came here, that guy thought he was getting an education, and what I wound up getting was a family. So, and I'll get to that, and hopefully I'll get to that a little bit down the road. So anyway, so that's me trying to identify with you that I was young and I didn't have hair and I was skinnier. And these are a couple of those people that we shared life together. So without burying the lead, hopefully you saw the title slide. If you don't remember anything that I said, this isn't very technical. It's who you are is more important than what you can do. So if you forget anything else, that's the thing that you're supposed to remember. So what did this guy say? So I was asked to kind of answer a key question. So, and this is the thing, like when Lissa called and said, "Could you speak to college students?" I'm like, I don't want to waste your guys' time. I know, that kind of thing. Let's make this like, I want to be the greatest COMCON speaker ever. I want this to be on YouTube and have 7 million views because people are so inspired and think this is the greatest thing ever. And when you graduate, you remember this moment and think, "Oh my word, this guy was so awesome." So, which won't happen. But so how narcissistic is that? So anyway, but I said, what are the most important things? Help me not suck. Like, get me in help me find a lane that you think would be the most important for students. And then this is what I was sent. So what do you need to know preparing to enter the ever-changing common media workplace? That sounds like a thesis or something, right? But this is what I heard. What skills, knowledge, life lessons, and attitude are going to be most beneficial for you when you get out. So what I tried to do is I tried to kind of break things down into a couple of different sections. So the order of worship, I always love that, is I'm going to touch on just 3 things: skills, attitudes, and then life lessons. And then tell a couple stories. There's 2 spaces in this presentation that might sting a little. So I just want to prep you for that. But hopefully at the end you'll have at least one idea, maybe 2 ideas that you can go, "You know what, that wasn't a complete waste of my time." So I guess we're just lowering the bar from greatest talk ever to that wasn't a complete waste of time. Okay. So let's just hit skills, right? So what skills do you need to have in order for you to be like awesome and successful when you graduate from the prestigious Spring Arbor University? So first thing, portfolio versus GPA. What's more important? So I would like faculty to leave right now. But this is what I would say. I would say in leadership roles that I've had where I've been hiring people, portfolio matters more than GPA. Does it trump GPA? Absolutely not. So let me qualify by saying this if you're looking for some specificity. If I've got 2 resumes and one resume is an A+ portfolio but a 2-point GPA, and one resume is a B+ portfolio and like a 3.5 GPA, I'm probably going to hire the B+ and 3.5. You know why? Like, just actually, this could be interactive, like if you have like ideas. Why would you think that why wouldn't I hire the A+ portfolio with the 2 point something? Why would I take B plus? Do you guys have ideas? What do you think?
Because the B plus shows more dedication through everything they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Anything? I mean, any other things to throw gas on that? Like, would you? I mean, that's the essence of it. You're really smart. Nice beard. Nice. That was started before. That was started before November 1st. So this is what a 3-point something GPA says to me as I'm looking to hire. They worked. They worked. So 2-point something GPA and an A+ portfolio says they've got a lot of talent, but they may not be disciplined. So I'd rather take somebody who's more disciplined, that's a harder worker, that could grow from a B+ to an A- portfolio, rather than somebody who's a rock star talent. But I mean, we see that all the time with sports, right? Like, I'm a sports nut, but we see a lot of sports people that are uber talented, but don't have a lot of intangibles, and then they usually flame out. Or even people that work kind of in Hollywood and those kind of things, crazy on talent, not on integrity or work ethic. So I would rather pick that person, but I would say I weigh portfolio over GPA. I don't care how smart you are, I care about what you can produce. So which goes to this. If you don't have a portfolio and you want to get a job, I will never hire you. And this is why. If you can't show me your work, you're sure as heck not going to be able to show mine. So if you can't tell your own story, you're not going to tell stories for me. So your portfolio is your front door. Like, it's your first blush into your skills and abilities. So I know that you guys start that like at COM 110 and you work on it like through till your senior year. I would say as you're looking for that, right? So keep honing your portfolio, sharpen it, make it awesome, because this has happened just this past week. We had a print job come through in the company that I work for. We don't do a lot of print work, but we had one of our clients that we do other work for, and they said, can you make a catalog for us? We've got a print thing. So the first thing I think of is I've got to find a print person. So what I do is I contact some people that I know and say, can you send me your transcript? Because I want to see what you got in graphic design 1. No, that was kind of it was send me, it was an anticipation, send me your portfolio and your contact information. And the first people that send that to me get forwarded on, and we evaluate your portfolio, and then we'll call you. So that's what we're actually doing right now. Like, I've got 2 people, and I reached out to them, and the speed to which they send it to me also matters, and the quality. So right now we're evaluating 2 people based on their portfolio, and we'll give one of them the job to do a print job for us. So that's kind of how it'll work for you guys. So portfolio matters a little bit over GPA, but GPA doesn't not matter. It says something to me more than just kind of what you got in video production 101. So the second thing is networking. So Facebook and Twitter, I would throw this out to you as communication majors to be visible on those places. Probably not as much on Facebook, because that's kind of getting old. But I would say, I would throw out just a suggestion, if you're not on Google+, Google Plus is kind of like one of those kind of, you know, there's only like 10 people on Google Plus. But the 10 people that are on Google Plus are communication, marketing, and technology people. So if you're in those spaces, there's not as many people there now. So it's kind of like if the crowd is smaller, you can stand out more in it. So I just kind of throw that out to you as a suggestion. So with networking though, this is what I would say. Some of you guys may or may not do this, but this is what I do and I continue to do. I still think I'm a 20-year-old inside my skin. I don't look at the mirror much because then I'm like, dang, you know, you are not. But inside I feel like I still have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and I'm still trying to be fun and creative and all those kinds of things. But this is what I do to network, and I would encourage you to as you're entering the workplace. Follow the people that you want to become like, because they will inspire you. So follow them on Twitter, read the stuff that they think is interesting. If you think they're interesting, then connect with the people and the resources that they think are interesting. And then invest some time away from cat videos on Facebook to like creatively comment and share with those people. So because most of these people are kind of open now, so comment on their websites and blogs. This would be one example. I follow a guy on all of his social networks, a leadership guy. His name is Michael Hyatt. I'd encourage you to follow, Google him and follow him. He's got tons of great resources, but he is friends with another guy that he kind of inspired to become an author, and then he wrote a book. And so I follow him, and then I read his book and loved it, and then I wrote a review of his book and posted it on my website, and then I shared my review of his book on my social media channels and mentioned him. And because of that, then he reached out to me and said, hey, thanks so much for the review on the book, and now we're connected. So now that happens regularly, but just investing some time in that networking. So, and then, do I have a picture? Oh, yeah. So I want to show you this on networking. So this is kind of in one of my better moments, best moments work-wise. So this is about 5 years ago. And this is a team when I was leading the Free Methodist denomination's communication department. I had to fire a bunch of people and then hire a bunch of people, and these were the people that I hired. But this is the dude that I want to talk about with networking. I don't know, do you upperclassmen? I don't know. Do you recognize this guy? Faculty recognize him. So this is Kevin Smart. So let me tell you a little bit about little Kev, because he's like he's like this tall. So. He and Kevin Hart could be friends because they're buds. But Kevin shows up in my office. I'm working at Spring Arbor University. He's a freshman, and he's interested. We're hiring some student workers. Now we have some juniors that are comm majors, but then Kevin shows up, and I didn't hire the junior. I hired the freshman, and I hired Kevin because he was on time, because he's professional, because he just exhibited a sharpness that the junior didn't. And so I thought I could get him for 4 years too, like kind of like that whole. And so Kevin starts working for me. I love this kid. He works like a machine. He's entrepreneurial. Like he starts a coffee shop in his dorm room. He builds a half pipe in a room in Ormston. So he's doing stuff inside and outside the classroom. So I love this guy. I leave Spring Arbor, and I go to take this job leading the Free Methodist denomination office in Indianapolis. I'm doing all this stuff, and we basically rebrand the denomination in a year, 9 months. New website, new brand. We took 36 websites and merged them into one platform. We rolled out mobile and tablet apps. The website was English and in Spanish. We redid a magazine, rebranded, reformatted a magazine in 2 languages. And when the denomination gathers every 4 years for a big rah-rah session, which is this picture here, we also stream for the very first time the main sessions in 2 languages. We pulled all this off in about 9 months with this group of people. So when we got ready to go from Indianapolis to Rochester, New York, my hometown, where Roberts Wesleyan was hosting this conference. It was at Spring Arbor a few years ago, but this particular one here, the mobile tablet wasn't done. The website was about 50% done. The streaming we weren't sure of, and we were driving to Rochester. Before we left, we knew that we needed to hire a student to do an internship because we just needed a lackey, somebody that could just get stuff done. Who did I call? Kevin. I called Kevin. Hey, do you want to do your internship with us? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be hard. You probably won't sleep for 2 weeks, but it's going to be amazing. Count me in. The guy was a freaking rock star. It wasn't employees and student. We were all in the same space together. And by the way, everything came out, worked when we at the deadline that we had, because we worked a lot. Fast forward 2 years, now I need a video guy for the denomination, full-time job with benefits, and I'm looking for somebody. Who do you think I'm interested in checking out? Kevin. Who do you think got an interview and he made the final cut? Kevin. Why? It wasn't because of his GPA. He did great work and he networked. The guy just knew he knew how to hustle. So I guess maybe that's more of so you got to hustle a little bit. So network with people and then just be diligent with the things that you're doing right today. Do that with diligence. It'll get rewarded over time. So when Kevin was 18 years old, he did great work. So then he was rewarded when he was 20. And then he was rewarded again when he was 22. Does that make sense? Yeah. So be diligent today in the little things, network. And then the last thing was just work ethic. I was talking a little bit about this with Kevin, about Kevin with this, but so this is one of the two stingy stings. You guys have a reputation, and you may or may not know it, but like, you have a reputation that you're lazy. And I don't know why you have that reputation. Maybe it's just I don't know, and that kind of thing. But you have a reputation right now that you don't work hard for whatever reason. So people like me are less excited to hire people that are 22. I would rather hire somebody that's 28 or 30. And a little bit of it is because you guys have a reputation that you don't work hard. That you'll ask the question in a job interview, what's the minimum amount of work that you need me to do to accomplish my task? If somebody asks me that question, the job interview is over. The right question to ask is, what do you need from me? What can I contribute to this organization to give everything that I can to help the organization succeed? Somebody who asks a question like that has more likely a chance to be hired and become part of my team. And I'm not the exception. You can, if you want to use the Google and get on the line. You can find information that I'm not alone in this. That we're less interested in your academic acumen and we're more interested in your heart. So, are you going to stay after if a project is due the next day? Are you going to leave at 5 o'clock and go, I'm leaving at 5, or are you going to stay and make sure that it happens? So I just want to throw that out to you to know, just so you know that old people like me have a perception of you that you are not motivated and not hard workers. So you're going to have to prove that to us somehow. And I don't know what that is, and I can't give you any specificity for that, but I just want to, that's an elephant in the room that you may not know of when you come out of college and you go to interview for a job, that we pay attention to that. Does that make sense? So it's not to say that you are, but that's one of the elephants in the room, and you can overcome that by just being intentional with that. So, okay, so that's just one of the two. There's one left, but there's also some good stuff. So attitudes, humility, integrity, and gratitude. So it sounds like a church service, and I'm sorry about that. Actually, I'm not sorry about that. But so what attitudes do we look for? Humility. This is what I would say with humility. A thing that was really modeled for me a lot when I was younger was team first. So like group projects, you know how when you get when your professors force you into a group to do a project and you get stuck with a lazy person and you're like, crap, I'm gonna have to do all the work for this because they never do any of the work, or they're not responding to your texts or emails or those kinds of things, right? I mean, that might have happened. I'm sure that doesn't happen now, but it did happen back with the Bill Cosby sweater days and mullets. So that, I mean, I'm sure it never happens here, but that still happens when you get out into the workplace and you're working, and so that still happens. And but what was modeled for me, and that I try to model as a leader, is it's always team first. So if there's a group of 5 of us that are working on a project, even if I'm doing 60% of the work, and my boss comes to my team and says, guys, this was the most amazing thing ever, I will never say, well, you know what, let me show you the stuff that I did. Let me tell you, you know what, you won't even believe what Michael did. He did this, 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 and this. And Peter, he was so fantastic at this. Let me show you this. And I'll never speak of myself. So I'm doing that now. I feel hypocritical. Do you get what I'm saying? It's team first. It's humility. You step into the back. It's biblical, right? Last shall be first, right? Servant leadership. So integrity. This just goes to, so if the integrity piece, you can go a bunch of different ways. This is how I would define it from a work hiring standpoint. Be a person that does what you say you're going to do. So either don't say what you're going to do, or say what you're going to do and follow it. So like, if you don't think that you can deliver on Tuesday, when I say, hey, can you get it to me on Tuesday, but you go, I know I can deliver it on Wednesday, don't promise it to me on Tuesday. Say I can give it to you on Wednesday, and then give it to me on Wednesday. Does that make sense? Like, so just distilling all the, I mean, you can go 1,000 different ways with integrity, but be a consistent person that does what they say that they're going to do. Be on time. Be engaging, in those kind of things. Be a participant in that, and then just follow through on that. So when I was a student, I want to confess something to you. I wish we could have like a confessional. We'll call this a confessional booth. You'll be the priests, and I will be the confessor. So I'm gonna like put the curtain in, sit down, and go, okay, forgive me, Father and Mother, for I have sinned. And then you say, tell me. So when I was a student, it was my junior year. And my roommate, who's one of my closest friends, had some issues with conflict resolution. I don't know if you guys have issues with that, but apparently for 3 months, he was ready to strangle me because this is back when we were the last guys that lived on Gamma 1. So we were on Gamma 1, and we could also still build lofts. So we had this cool loft that we had constructed in the room. And every time I would take a shower, I would throw my towel I would hang my towel on the loft, not on those high-end towel rings on the back of the doors. So, and apparently this just drove him crazy. But towel hanging on the loft really spoke to a gap for me in follow-through, in consistency, and in discipline. So I've got a lot of natural ability, but my follow-through was not good would be an understatement. So and it really reflected not just in my academics, but it also reflected in my personal life, in my relationships. That theme leaked through there. So rather than Sam, my buddy Sam, telling me, can you just hang your towel on the towel ring? Could you do that? When I was in class, he decided to take the towel, throw it underneath the loft, take a Magnum 44 marker and write on the loft, "No towel from here to here," with this big black line. That was his message to me. So I walk in, I'm like, what the heck? I had no idea that this was an issue. We still joke about it today, no towel from here to here. Now the hilarious part is, 20 years later, I don't have natural ability in follow-through, but now I have skills in follow-through. It's not baked. Jesus didn't bake that into me. I just had to work really hard at it. So there's some stuff that Jesus wired in you naturally, that you flow in, and then there's other stuff that you're just gonna have to work a little extra hard in. So my wife, she came baked with organization and follow-through. Me, I suck at it, but it just takes some time to season that. But I would say when we look for those kinds of things, we look for people that do what they say they're gonna do. And if it becomes a pattern where you're constantly late and you're constantly not meeting deadlines, then that's gonna be a problem that will probably lead to you looking for another job. Does that make sense? Okay, so, and then last thing is gratitude. So that's a terrible picture. So gratitude, this is a picture of the team, that's the Free Methodist team again. And I don't know if you guys, Dory, you can probably recognize, there's Andy and Michael over there. But so gratitude. So this is the other stinger. And then we'll get on to like fun stuff. So there's something about 20-somethings that's kind of like a little funky cold Medina that's the second elephant in the room. So it's a little bit about gratitude. So I'm a culture building guy. So when I hire all these people, they live about 4 hours from Indianapolis, and so once a month we would all travel to Indianapolis for about 3 or 4 days to work together. And to save money, and also because I'm a culture guy, I just got an apartment in Indianapolis. And low-income housing, it was like married housing, only kind of in a low-income housing area, and it was just like college. I threw some old leftover furniture in there, and we went to a garage sale and got like all the nappy pots and pans and slammed them all in there, and there were a couple guys, young guys that I hired, and we would just converge and we would stay there and sleep on air mattresses and watch Netflix movies on an iPad, you know, because there was no TV or anything. And then when we were there, we would just go downtown to Indianapolis, and we would get pizza together, and we'd work late together, and we'd go out to movies. And, but most of the time, I would pay. Like, I just loved when we're together. Like, I'm just, this is so fun, you know. So let's go to a movie. I'd buy the movie. This is a place in Indianapolis that's really famous. Actually, when Jimmy Fallon did the Tonight Show there a couple years back in Indianapolis, the week of Super Bowl week, like this is one of the places that he visited. It's called the Mug and Bun. Dan, do you remember the? I don't know if you remember the Mug and Bun, but it's right down the street from headquarters. So don't ever go there. I got so sick, but it's like hot dogs. But anyway, this is just an example. We used to do this all the time. And there's one guy that over 2 years, we would do all this stuff. And like about a year into it, it just started nagging at me like he just never said thank you. Like when we get together and go, hey, I'm gonna make a Starbucks run. Does anybody want coffee? Yeah. I the leader, the servant leader, I would go to Starbucks, get everybody's drink order, bring them back coffee. I would buy it, and then I'd give it to everybody. And there's one guy who just never said thank you. He just kind of expected it. It's like, oh, thanks. And it took a while because I'm not that, I don't have a lot of emotional intelligence in that, and I don't care. I like to just lavish on people. But it started to sour me a little bit. Can I just be honest? Like, I'm like, dude never says thank you. Like, he never, what's up with that? The contrast, this guy is the exact opposite. His name is Michael. So anytime I did anything for Michael, it was the greatest thing ever. I'd get a thank you card, or an email, or a text, or a gift. Like, I just want to, you know what? When we would do stuff, he'd always be like, no, you shouldn't be. So, and I'm not just talking about money. I'm just talking about a mindset, that there were some people that just expected that I would do stuff for them, and it became, now that I'm a parent of a 16-year-old, holy crap, you know, we experienced that on a moment-by-moment basis where I'm like, seriously, I just feel like there are some seasons when I feel like, you know, I'm just giving and there's no reciprocation, and so I would encourage you, if you're choosing, if that's something to think about when you get into those spaces when you're working, be a person. You don't have to send 1,000 thank you notes, but just be a person, and it comes out of an overflow of attitude it's the attitude of gratitude. I hate to say that, but that sounds so bad. But just be thankful and enjoy the moments that you have. And when somebody does bless you, tell them that they did. Don't take those things for granted. I don't know if that's I don't know if it is a generational thing, but I notice it sometimes because I'm a parent of a teenager. I notice that with high school students. That they just expect that their parents are going to buy them cars and give them money and give them they're just going to do everything for them. And I don't know maybe if that leaks into college or not, but I'm finding that as an employer, that again, that's one of those things where it's like, wow, they just kind of think that I'm going to do all the work for them. I'm the boss. They should be doing the work. So, but I choose to serve, but then sometimes it gets a little sour. Does that make sense? So it's on the gratitude side. So be like this guy. If you want to, when you get your first job, be like that dude, because he's awesome. If Michael called me today and said, hey, I need a job, I would go find money and I would hire him, and I wouldn't even care what the job was, because I love that guy and I know he works hard, and he would add to my organization whatever he did. Okay? It doesn't matter. I don't care about his GPA, and I don't care about his portfolio. It's just he's got it. So he's the kind of person I would hire. Okay, life lessons. Community, kindness, and long view. I'll just do quick on kindness. Don't be a jerk. Be kind. Okay? I don't know. Sometimes people just need to be reminded of that, right? So like when your cable goes out and you call 1-800-COMCAST and you're ticked off because you can't watch the latest episode of The Walking Dead, and you get that telemarketer lady, it's not her fault, your cable's out, all right? Treat her with kindness, okay? 20 years ago, when my wife Mickey and I were planning a church, and we were only getting paid every other week instead of every week, and we had the bill collectors calling us, and we were doing consumer credit counseling, and we're trying to lead this church, and we're newlyweds, so we're like 24, right? So we're not too far off of where some of you guys are, right? And the biggest sting for us was money. That just was we were just feeling overwhelmed by that. And the day when I deposit my paycheck, one that I actually got, into the bank, and we go on date night to the grocery store because we didn't have money to do anything else, so that was the only money we had to spend. So that was date night. Hey, should we get Golden Grams this week instead of Rice Krispies? We've got an extra $1. Like, that was date night. And so going to Chanatry's grocery stores like Hutch's, and then checking out at the end after I just deposited my check, and swiping our debit card and having it say, no sufficient funds, and then having the checkout lady get on the old school Burger King microphone and announce to the entire grocery store, aisle 2 doesn't have money for their groceries, and everybody stares at me. When I get out, when I leave that, so embarrassed, so frustrated that I don't have money. I'm ticked off at God because He's not providing for me enough, and I'm mad, and I'm embarrassed as a man, as a husband. I'm getting in the car, and I am saying words that I can't say here because we're taping it. But F was one of them. Started with that or whatever, and I am just telling Mickey what I'm going to do when I get to that bank. I'm going to light somebody up like a Roman candle, like, and then I step forward in that bank, and I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit or what, but it was like, that lady doesn't deserve my wrath. It's not her fault. Just be kind. Kindness matters when you're working with people, especially in communication field, right? Kindness just matters. So let the Father leak into you so that you don't go crazy like the cheese whiz on the bank teller at Utica National Bank, right? Community. So these, remember I told you at the beginning, these are the guys. I had hair, I miss it so much. These are the guys that I met when I was at Spring Arbor. This guy still works, his name is Brian Dumont. If you listen to 88.1, what is it called, the Smile FM, he does the morning show. So this guy right here, Charlie Brandt, if you speed in Jackson, Michigan, he will write you a ticket, and he will make you pee your pants because he's scared. So this guy is one of my closest friends, Sam. He actually works, oversees technical stuff at the church. He's like a tech pastor. This guy, Chad, he's worked in communication most of his life in education. Right now he's kind of a tech geek, and so is this guy, Brian. But so in college, we wound up really spending a lot of time together in the summer. We did spring break trips together, cross-cultural things, and we lived together in the summertime here. We got jobs. I wasn't a big reader at the time, but the ironic, and I didn't like kids. The ironic part is I got a job at the Jackson Library downtown in the children's department. But, what's going on here? I thought I turned off notifications. I am supposed to be at COMCON. Hey, remind me of that, will you? My company's on Central Time. So I want you to see that. And then about 5 years later, we turned into that. Right?
Responsible and?
What's that?
Is that responsible and Walcott?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then 20 years later, we turned into that. So, Jake. So, when I talk about community, I want to tell you a work story and then a hard story. So, This is about 3 weeks ago. So the company that I work for is based in San Antonio. It's called Upper Room Technologies. It's just a missional tech company. But one of the products that we have is a live streaming product, kind of like a competitor to Livestream and Ustream, but it's geared for the church. So the office in San Antonio, we've kind of grown by about 400% in the last year. And so we got a new building. It's a really cool facility in San Antonio. And so we were having a building dedication about 3 weeks ago. And the CEO for our company, his name is Andy. He's friends with Max Lucado. So I don't know if you guys, do you guys know who Max Lucado is? The people, if you don't, you probably use the Google on the line and find out who he is too. Probably good. He's kind of one of our generation's Billy Graham type people. He's one of our great evangelical leaders. So they're friends, and he asked Max if Max would come to our building and do the building dedication. So he does, and it's a cool thing. You know, we sing some songs. He does a prayer blessing. But in the interim, he talks to Andy, and Max forgets that we have this live streaming product, and he has a new book that hadn't come out yet on prayer. And so he said, "Hey, would you be interested in?" I'm wondering if we could do like a live prayer event where I could just call people to pray. There was the Holy Ebola thing and ISIS and all this stuff, and everybody's freaking out. So could we do an online prayer event? Could you do that for me? Max Lucado, could you do this for me? The answer is yes. Then the next question is, well, when do you want to do it? And he says, it's Thursday. He says, how about Monday? The answer, no problem. Andy leaves. Holy crap, we've got to put on it's so we all start scrambling. Now let me tell you, culturally, before that time, we were all pretty beleaguered. Not fractured, but our team is just kind of lacking something, right? And then we get this thing. And then I have to call my wife and tell her I'm going to have to stay in Texas 4 more days. And it's Max Lucado's fault. So I gave her Max's number and said, if you want to call and complain, talk to Max. I didn't do that. So fast forward, we wind up working through the weekend because we've never done anything like this before. Max shows up on Monday afternoon, and we do a couple of dry runs of the event, and they go terribly. I mean, it's not going well. Do you guys know that when you're doing live, I don't know if you guys have done live production stuff, but oh man, it's like a rush. It's like an adrenaline rush. It's so fun, but it's also so frightening at the same time. And but what winds up happening, God's faithful to us, and we do this half-hour prayer gathering, and it's one of the biggest things that we've ever done. There's like a bajillion people online. It's a trending topic on Twitter, and we get like a bajillion hits. Max's website actually goes down, and it's a big success. So afterwards, in the afterglow of doing something amazing, our team, because we've been kind of in the context of community, working through the weekend together, solving problems together, we're all just kind of high-fiving, and it's a really cool moment. And Max shows up, he comes out, and he starts kind of like, you guys were awesome. And then he kind of gives us a gift where he writes us each a note and gives us his book that hasn't come out yet, which was kind of cool. But then he says, hey, Jason, man, you just did such a great job leading us tonight. I'm so thankful for you, brother. Hey, we're gonna grab a bite to eat. Would you want to come with us? Are you freaking kidding me? Do I want to have dinner with Max Lucado? Yeah, no problem. I think we'll do that. So there's like 6 or 7 of us, and we're sitting around a table now. And we've gone from crazy stress, the team's a little fractured, so now we're all in kumbaya mode because we kind of had a common goal, and we accomplished it. And now we're sitting at a table with one of the great evangelical leaders. And what's really cool, this guy is such the real deal. He doesn't talk about himself the whole time. Jason, so what's a Free Methodist? I have never heard of this before. Tell me, how did you? So he's just facilitating, he's a pastor. So he's just facilitating this rich dialogue, stays for like an hour and a half. He leaves, he's hugging us up and stuff like that, and we're walking away completely different. It's not because of Max, it's because we were in community with one another, that we kind of went into the trenches together. And it was tense. There was a lot, there was yelling and there was frustration and all those kind of things. But at the end, you kind of pull those things out. So I think sometimes it's less about the work and more about the people that you do the work with, and why you do the work. So the president, one of the former presidents for Spring Arbor is one of my mentors, and he's just one of the coolest guys ever. His name is Gail Beebe, and he wrote a book on leadership. And he kind of got quoted. He got quoted a lot, but he had a quote called "meaningful work with meaningful people." Like that was his end goal. I just want to do work that matters with people that matter for that mission. So when you get in a place where you care deeply about the mission of the thing that you're doing, and the people that you're locking arms with, that's church to me. It's a beautiful thing. And so, but beyond the work, I wanted to show you. I brought a couple of visual aids, but I just want to say this to you. So it's 20 years later, when I was a college student, this is the thing that mattered to me, was my diploma. But about 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary with the girl that I met here. This is my marriage certificate. So this is the document that matters, not this. Okay? This matters. This does not in the grand scheme of things. So this matters. So it's not necessarily about the work that you do. It's about who you are becoming in the space that you're at. So, and this is my daughter Grace, my 16-year-old. She was, I don't know how old she was there, but this is a picture of her in Africa. So when she was, I still get a little emotional. I try to I wish I would put like a push pin in my shoe so I could, kind of get myself. But so this kid is thinking about calling in her life as a teenager. I don't know if you guys got your call earlier, like when you were in high school or younger, when you knew what you wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got to Spring Arbor. My wife Mickey knew what she wanted to do when she was in grade school. Grace didn't know what she wanted to do, but she's sensing right now a call to missions, to be a teacher overseas. Dad, is it this is kind of, Dad, is it okay if I marry an African? Yeah, honey, it's fine, as long as he loves Jesus, Even if he doesn't speak English, yeah, honey, it's fine, as long as he loves Jesus, that kind of thing. So this is a moment captured in time of her in Africa, experiencing firsthand what she thinks might be a call in her life. This is what matters, guys. Now, you're not there yet, right? Some of you have think that you have the love of your life, and maybe some of you are engaged, maybe some of you are married, maybe you haven't met, those kinds of things yet. You don't know what it's going to look like, right? So I'll end with this. Do you see how academic this is? So does anybody recognize this at all? Other than Mary Darling? What is? Do you know what it is?
It's the prodigal son returning, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. Fantastic. What's your name?
Bethany.
Bethany. Hi, Aunt Bethany. Stock up. So this is a really famous painting called Return of the Prodigal Son. Now, Henry Nouwen actually wrote a book. If you've never heard of Henry Nouwen, get on the line and use the Google and read some of his stuff. But he wrote a book called Return of the Prodigal Son. So I guess this would be my suggestion to you. This is what I'm still learning as a 42-year-old, overweight, balding guy, not balding, bald guy, is if I can encourage you with anything like who you are is more important than what you do, those kind of things. That what I'm realizing in this season of life is that the Father draws me to his heartbeat. So, and I consistently, I have good motives, but I consistently screw up. So, but just like the prodigal son, I consistently come back to his lap, and he restores me, hopefully tweaks me a little bit so that I don't do the same stuff. But the interesting thing is, he still loves me even if I do the same stuff. It's just how he is. He doesn't know how to do anything else. That's in his DNA. Actually, he created DNA. So maybe he doesn't have DNA because he made it. But all this to say is that your number one priority, I would say, your number one priority in your season at Spring Arbor is this. What is the Father calling me into? Whether it's being a CPA, or whether it's being a missionary, or whatever it is to make sure that you don't miss the memo, and then make sure that you're in a posture when you're able to say yes. And then just do the little things like homework and all that other kind of junk, right, that you're supposed to do in this space. Because these are the people, and I had a picture too, our YouTube picture of Lissa and John, Lissa and her husband John and Mickey and I did like our YouTube cover photo pose. You know, the thing that Lissa didn't tell you was that we met in college, but we met again. And the way that we met is we had babies that were in a hospital that were in not good shape. And we met in a hotel in the hospital. That's how we reacquainted ourselves. So what's really interesting that you can't tell about these people and us that's below the surface is 20 years in, we've got a lot of mileage, a lot of tears, a lot of hardship, and that has kind of drawn us closer together. And that just comes with seasoning that you don't have yet. So don't worry about that. Like the moment right now is to say, what is the Father saying to me? And how can I say yes to him? And so the title, which Lissa doesn't even know what my title is, heck, I can't even recite it to you. It doesn't matter. This is your end game. So hopefully that's a little bit of vision for your life. And if you're interested, I don't know if I have the, so my name is Jason Archer. Sorry. But what I did was, if you want to download it, my Twitter handle is just Jason Archer, JasonArcher. I had it at the beginning, but if you want to just find that on Twitter, I put a link to, I did a little social networking survey, and I asked my friends that same question and said, if you could speak to college students, what would you say? So they wrote a bunch of stuff, and I kind of put it in a PDF for you. So if you want, just go to @Jason Archer. You'll see a link there, and you can download it and maybe get some different views too. They're not all mine. So. Okay, are we ready to close?
Yeah.
Are you ready to go to your next class? Are you ready to wish that you had chosen Azusa Pacific, or Biola, or Palm Beach Atlantic? Now, today, is that one of those days where you're like, dang, I know I should have been at Azusa Pacific. Okay, but God called you here, right? So be faithful to him in today. So Lord, we love you. Thanks for the time that we're able to share together. And my prayer is that 20 years from now, one of these guys is talking in COMCON, and they're sharing the same pictures and the same stories of how you were faithful to them. Amen.